Now, a First Coast News special presentation, Fatal Encounter. Here are Joy Purdy and Heather Crawford.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. The First Coast and Florida in the national spotlight for a controversial case.
A 17-year-old shot and killed, and police say it all started with a complaint over loud music. Here's a live look tonight at where it began, the Gate gas station at Southside and Bay Meadows. We are learning new details tonight about what the suspect was doing in the hours before the shooting. We're also looking ahead to how Florida's Stand Your Ground law could come into play. First, though, let's get you up to speed with a timeline of the case. Here's Ken Amaro.
Friday, November 23rd, police were called to a shooting at the Gate gas station located at Bay Meadows Road and Southside Boulevard. Several teenagers were in a red SUV when a gas station customer complained about their loud music. That led to a verbal confrontation and ended with the suspect firing several rounds into the SUV, killing one of the passengers. First Coast News staffers say it was obvious by the crime scene that the circumstances were unique. Saturday, November 24th, 45-year-old Michael Dunn is arrested at his Brevard County condominium on a warrant from Duval County. He is charged with the death of 17-year-old Jordan Davis, who was revealed to be a student at Wilson High School. Sunday, November 25th, our reporter, Michelle Quesada, was the only journalist in Satellite Beach as the Dunn family gathered to pray in the backyard of their home. Monday, November 26th, our cameras were there as Dunn makes a court appearance in Brevard County, where his attorney declared that he fired shots into the vehicle because he felt threatened. While the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office detailed the shooting and said the teenager was not armed and that Dunn was in Jacksonville to attend his son's wedding. Tuesday, November 27th, the suspect, Dunn, is extradited from Brevard County to the Duval County Jail on charges of murder and attempted murder. And for the first time, Dunn's attorney contradicts JSO and claims the teens were armed with a shotgun. Wednesday, November 28th, Michael Dunn waives his first court appearance and is being kept in the Duval County pretrial detention facility without bond.
Well, tonight we are learning more about the events leading up to that fatal encounter.
We are taking an in-depth look tonight at the two people who we are now hearing so much about. New tonight, we have confirmed this is where Michael Dunn spent part of Friday before stopping at the gas station. He attended his son's wedding and reception here at Winterbourne on the St. Johns in Clay County. His attorney says Dunn and his girlfriend had left the reception early on their way back to their Jacksonville hotel room to take care of their puppy. On the way, they stopped here at the Gate gas station at Southside and Bay Meadows, where Dunn's girlfriend went inside to get a bottle of wine. And that's when he ended up parked next to the SUV with Jordan Davis and three of his friends. Here's what we know about Dunn. The 45-year-old father of three is a software developer who lives in Satellite Beach. According to his attorney, Robin Lemonitis, he has a concealed gun permit, is very well trained in firearms and knowledgeable about guns, and is a member of the National Rifle Association. According to her, he frequently goes to a range to target shoot. Lemonitis says Dunn's grandparents gave him his first rifle when he was in 3rd grade to shoot squirrels in their backyard in Wisconsin. Dunn graduated from Marathon High School in the Keys and decided not to attend a traditional college. Instead, he went to computer technical school in California, and according to his attorney, rose quickly through the ranks working for various companies. His attorney describes him as a low-key, private man. His daughter Rebecca says her father loves boating, riding motorcycles, and is a licensed pilot.
Good father. Everyone that's in his life loves him, and everyone that's met him as my friends are all praying for him. So that shows you that he's a good person, you know. He's super, super smart, you know. He does computer software and all this stuff, like, and he's so funny and nice and outgoing, and, like, he loves life, and he loves his children, he loves his girlfriend. He's a good, good, good person.
First Coast News has learned that in 2007, when Dunn was flying a plane to Jacksonville, he claimed he accidentally veered into restricted airspace at the Kennedy Space Center. That brought out federal officials and bomb-sniffing dogs who thought the wayward plane might have been an act of terrorism. Dunn was never charged. Tonight, he sits in the Duval County Jail, charged with Jordan Davis's murder. And here's what we know about Jordan Davis. The 17-year-old Wolfson High student was raised near Atlanta. His mother says she homeschooled her only child from 4th grade until high school. 2 years ago, he moved to Jacksonville to live with his father. Teachers at Wolfson High say Jordan was initially a bit rebellious in class. He was in an intensive reading class for not passing the FCAT, but soon found his way in a new school.
During the time that he was with me, he must have realized that I really did care about him. So one day in the hallway, and this was one of the fond memories that I wanted to talk about, he sees me with his arms wide open. He's like on the extreme other end of the hallway calling my name. And he's like, "Mrs. Aponte, will you marry me?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "You know, I'm just messing with you." And I'm like,
He ended up passing the FCAT, and as an upcoming senior, he was starting to figure out what he wanted to do after graduation. His mother says her son wanted to follow in his cousin's footsteps and join the military. Before moving to Florida, he was in the Air Force Junior ROTC.
He loved people, and he loved God. And he was a very sensitive child. And he always wanted everybody to just get along. And he just wanted everybody to come together. He just always wanted everybody to get along.
We will hear more from people who were close to Davis in just a minute. As you can imagine, emotions you saw right there, they have been running high since the shooting Friday. And Heather, you've actually talked to a lot of family, friends, other people who've been affected by this shooting.
Absolutely. We've been covering this story from the beginning now, and it's a tragedy that no doubt it's a tragedy for both families. One family has lost their son. Another now has their loved one locked up behind bars. Both families standing behind their respective loved ones. And I sat down with Jordan's mother. You heard some of that interview there, and she wanted to make it clear that she does not want this case to be divisive like the Trayvon Martin case. She says she shared so many stories of her son, of Jordan, and how he really tried to unify people. She said he had this knack of just bringing people together, and that is what she wants to focus on, her son's memory, her son's legacy, and she does not want this case to be divisive.
And I would imagine, you know, just from taking a look at both sides, no matter what you think about what happened, just very heart-wrenching on all sides, losing someone as well as a family member now in jail.
Absolutely.
So the attorneys involved also getting their case together. Here's Ken Amaro again with a deeper look at both sides as they move forward.
Michael Dunn, accused killer of 17-year-old Jordan Davis, has hired Mitch Stone and Robin Leomitis to defend him against murder charges.
He was not a vigilante of any sort. He simply responded as he felt was necessary when he was threatened.
The defense team may use Florida's Stand Your Ground defense. Leomitis was evasive in her decision.
I'm either giving you the lawyer answer or the mom answer, which is we'll see.
We will see, because prosecutor Mark Khalil says there could be more charges.
We expect we'll have charges ready to be filed after we consider all the evidence.
Among the evidence was alcohol involved, since Dunn was returning from his son's wedding.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Also, were the teenagers armed? Police say they were not. Even so, Khalil expects Dunn's attorneys to use the Stand Your Ground defense.
Based upon what I heard in the media yesterday, I think that's likely.
Leomitis claims her client was polite in asking the teenagers to turn down the music.
Would you mind turning that down in that tone of voice? If that's precipitating violence, then we're all in trouble.
Prosecutors would only say it will all come out in court if Dunn's actions were justified.
Commenting on the evidence is supposed to be left up to the courtroom, and that's what we'll do.
Dunn remains in jail without bond. His next court appearance is December 19th. Ken Amaro, First Coast News.
Thank you, Ken. And you could hear from that piece that Florida's Stand Your Ground law might come into play here. That is a law where a person is justified in using force to protect themselves. It's been under scrutiny since teenager Trayvon Martin was shot and killed in Sanford, Florida back in February. Now, details are still emerging about this recent shooting, so we do want to be careful not to draw parallels between this case and the Trayvon Martin case until we know more. But we do know Stand Your Ground could be involved. And I'm joined right now by Jenny Simmons, director of the Second Chance campaign from our sister station in Washington, D.C. Jenny, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And your group is opposed to the Stand Your Ground laws now enacted in 26 states across the nation, including here in Florida. Tell us why you're so opposed to the law and what you're doing to try and change it.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on, Heather. We're opposed to these laws because they've proven to be dangerous. They encourage people to shoot first and ask questions later. That's why we actually call them shoot first laws. And it's important to note that they actually give citizens on the streets of Florida and half the states in this country now more leeway to shoot and kill than we give to U.S. military troops in the war zones. And what we're finding is lots of these tragedies around the country, and a lot of these cases that are really, really scary, just like this one. In Florida, in 2005, right after the law was passed, there was a case of two neighbors fighting with each other over how much garbage they could put on the edge of their at the curb, and they got into a fight, and one of the neighbors shot the other one, first in the chest and then again in the stomach, and no charges. The man who was shot was unarmed, no charges, no arrest, because he said he was standing his ground, that he felt threatened. Other cases
And Ginny, what is your group doing to try and change the law? Florida was the first one in the nation that actually enacted the Stand Your Ground law. What are you all doing to try and repeal it?
We're raising awareness about the dangers of these laws. We're raising awareness about new studies that have come out that show that regardless of the intention of these laws, very clearly when you look at the studies, they're increasing homicide rates and they're not deterring violent crime. So we're helping to mobilize people. We're working with civil rights groups, the NAACP, National Urban League, Vote Vets, and we're looking to help introduce reform, help lawmakers and support them introducing reform legislation around the country.
Ginny Simmons, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time. And it was an emotional night for Jordan Davis's family and his friends. A visitation was held for him in Mandarin today. Michelle Casada was there and has the story.
Everybody was still talking about it, like how they can't believe it. And all you hear is Jordan, why'd you have to go, like.
It was a heartbreaking experience for so many who loved Jordan Davis. Friends, family members, classmates, and teachers gathered at the funeral home of Mandarin to say goodbye to a young man gone too soon.
He always smiling. He had a big $1 billion smile. He always smiling. Just seeing with his mouth closed is sad.
At 17 years old, a senior at Wolfson High School, Jordan Davis was looking forward to graduation and to joining the Marine Corps. But his dreams were shattered in a moment of violence.
It's hard to see somebody else's child, anybody's child laying in a casket, over loud music. It's senseless. It really is. And then they toting guns. Them boys don't tote guns. Everybody, all of them, they got a future ahead of them. He had a future, it was taken from him.
Yvonne Williams says her two boys were supposed to go to the mall with Jordan that Friday night, but she didn't let them go. She says it could have been anybody's child.
I'm not saying words wasn't said back and forth with their kids and their teenagers. They the average boys, but for you to pull out a gun and shoot, he could have shot not just Jordan, anybody.
One of Jordan's teachers says she shared memories about the teen with his mother and says that despite how hard this is for the entire family, they are finding strength.
We were just discussing how he was on the cusp of kind of coming into his own and just seeing, all the opportunities that were before him. And then she's like, and the Lord decided that that's when he needed to take him. And she's like, I don't know what his greater purpose is, but obviously he needed him up there more than he needed him here.
Some call it the digital afterlife.
Still ahead in this First Coast News special, how friends are taking to Twitter and Facebook to keep Jordan Davis's memory alive. And you are looking at a memorial page for Jordan Davis.
All right, we will continue to follow this story on air and online for you. Thanks.
Thanks for being with us tonight.